I had read the original Stephen King book written as Richard Bachman when I was a teenager, and around the time I started reading Stephen King books. And so I was really stayed with me, the original novel, its intensity. I had read the book before I had seen the 1987 adaptation, which I enjoyed, but I even then realized that, oh, this is a very loose adaptation of the book and they barely cover a lot of the story. So I knew as a Stephen King fan that there was like a novel of his that hadn't really been adapted for the screen. And over the years, I'd always like, it stuck with me that it was a great kind of like, sci-fi action adventure. And a big part of it that really stuck with me is the fact that in the book, you stay in Ben's point of view the entire time and you go on the journey with him. And you don't cut away to other scenes. He doesn't know what's going on in the rest of the world, only what he sees on the TV. And I just thought that was a really like strong point of view for the movie. So also the crazy thing is that the Stephen King book, which he wrote in 1972, he set it in the year 2025. So the fact that this film is coming out in the last few weeks of 2025 is kind of wild. I think the key thing about the book that I loved was the character of Ben Richards being an everyman, that he wasn't an established action hero. He's not like a trained killer. He's a guy off the street. He's an out-of-work dad who's trying to provide for his family. And he goes to the network building out of desperation to make money. So that was a really important part of it, is that this is a guy off the street who's like, he's tough because he's worked some dangerous jobs, but he's also fallible. He like makes mistakes. He doesn't always have like a plan of action. So that was really important. And also the idea of seeing the entire film through his eyes and showing it from his point of view was really important. Well, I think what's great about Glenn is like he's a proper movie star, but he also is very relatable. And I think he also plays a great everyman. So the idea of having this character at the center of this kind of deadly action just makes it more exciting because you don't know whether he's going to survive. It was an amazing cast, and it was because of the nature of the story, like people kind of like come into the movie and come out again. And so I think it was fun for me and Glenn because every week there'd be a different great actor coming in to shoot on the movie and, create some really interesting dynamics, like in the scenes with like Glenn and Josh Brolin, in the scenes with Glenn and Michael Cera, in the scenes with Coleman Domingo, like with Lee Pace. Like it was just a kind of murderer's row of a cast, The action sequences were very ambitious because we were trying to shoot as much on location and in camera as possible and trying to shoot it all from his point of view. So it required like a lot of planning because we wanted Glenn to be the center of a lot of the action. But then some sequences that are incredibly complicated in the way they play out. Like the sequence in the YVA is like sort of a number of different sets and some location work, and just like, when it's all cut together, it's pretty seamless, but like it's like weeks and weeks of work, at heart, it's an entertaining sci-fi action thrill ride, but if it gives you something to chew on the way home, then great.